You're listening to the StoryBrand podcast, based on Donald Miller's best-selling book, Building a Story Brand. The StoryBrand framework is made up of 7 key elements, all of them anchored in one powerful idea. Your customer is the hero, and you are their guide. Each week on the podcast, you'll get exactly what you need to craft clear messaging that connects with more customers and grows your business. Now let's dive in with your hosts, Donald Miller and Kyle Reed.
Paula, it's good to be with you.
Yeah, likewise. I'm so happy we finally got to meet in person.
I know, and I feel like we're old friends.
Oh, yeah.
That's the age that we're in. Mm-hmm. You feel like you're an old friend with somebody you've never met because you know so much about them on social media and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, and we've spent hours together at this point.
We probably
between our
have.
podcasts.
Yeah.
I've been on yours.
Even at once a year. What do you think? Was it 5 years ago? Was it that far back?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and you've gone a long way since then.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody this morning said, really like to know how you build a brand so fast. And I corrected them. I said, no, she didn't build it fast. She has been doing this for a very, very long time.
It's true. It's going to be 8 years in April since I started the podcast.
Wow, that's awesome. So you were an early adopter.
Mm-hmm.
You were early. And you've moved to Austin, Texas, where all these podcasters have moved.
I love it. It's such great energy. I feel like it's the place where I need to be right now.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a strategic move for the business or for the brand?
Oh, yeah. Like to save on taxes and to be around all the right people. And it just feels like the right move for me. I feel like there's a lot of people going in and out, and it's easier to get in-person interviews, and it's been working out really great.
Okay, I have a lot of questions. You're known as the podcast princess.
Yes.
Is that right? Do you like that?
Yeah, I love that.
Okay, did you name yourself that or did somebody else?
Oh, no. I got on the cover of Podcast Magazine 2 years into my podcast journey, and they called me the podcast princess. So
and you were like, call me that all you
please.
want.
Keep
Is that
calling
how
me
you want to be known?
Maybe one day I'll have to be the podcast queen or something, but for now, I think podcast princess works.
I want to talk about the messaging strategy that builds a personal brand.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of people listening, and they may not want a big brand like yours, but they may want to become, a friend of mine calls it 5 miles famous, 5 mile famous, right? Mm-hmm. So you're known in a certain demographic, or you're known in your geographical area because being known creates trust and familiarity, which leads to all sorts of open doors. So there's a lot of people who want to do that. You not only do that, you help a lot of other people do that.
Yeah.
And so I want to just know the steps, the strategies, the tips on how you actually made that happen.
Yeah. Well, I usually take all my clients through a framework, and I also teach this in a course for personal branding. And we go through all the different things you need to think of before you even ever craft a post or ever create a reel. You need to be proactive and think about your messaging so you can come off consistent, because branding is really consistency, right? It's just,
what do you mean by that? I mean, I think I understand, but do you mean like you have to repeat the same message over and over so that is how you are known? And you kind of have to be disciplined to stay on message.
Yeah, you've got to repeat the same messages over and over again. You've got to repeat the same stories, your own stories, over and over again until people actually understand what you stand for. And when they understand what you stand for and it's so clear, people just auto-engage because they know, like, hey, I agree with everything Hala says. Even if this post is not necessarily something I care about or even agree with this post, I agree with her overall and her messaging overall and what she stands for. So I'm going to engage with this content no matter what. I've seen that especially on LinkedIn, right? People are just auto-engaging once they align with the person that they're interacting with.
How do you personally, how did Hala Taha figure out what she stood for and then turn it into repeatable messages?
Yeah, so I've got a little framework. So first of all, you want to think about your values, right? So basically it's like what you stand for, what you think about when things are hard, right? When somebody is, messaging you something mean in the comments, or when you're DMing with somebody, or any caption that you write, any sort of interaction online, what are the things that you stand for? So when things get tough, how do you just make the right decision, or your team make the right decision on your behalf where it aligns with your values?
So what are your values?
My values are integrity. My values are joy, being hardworking, right? Like the value of hard work, quality. So like how you do anything is how you do everything. So you also might want to like define what these values mean to you, because every word means something different to somebody else.
Yeah.
So you want to think about your values. The other thing you want to think about is who your target audience is. Like, who are you actually targeting? And you might want to think about like one line to summarize them. For me, it's young professionals who are looking to start companies or just, elevate their careers.
Yeah.
So what is that one line of people that you're trying to connect with? Because you actually want to mirror your audience in your messaging. So the way that they talk, you want to talk the same way. The words that they use, you want to use those same words. So people feel connected to you. The other thing that you want to think about is your personality type. So are you friendly? Are you bubbly? Are you serious? Right? So like, what is like your overall personality type?
Have you ever, you identify values, you identify your audience. It's interesting because I can be just a really goofy guy. I love to cut up. I love to have fun. I love all that stuff, but I've noticed that is not good for my brand.
Really?
No, if there's an image of me on YouTube and I'm smiling, it gets like half the views. But if I have a scowl, it gets more views.
Really?
It's actually made me wonder, like, do I need to just be, when the camera comes on, do I just be a scowling kind of person? Is that what people want?
Well,
I'm wondering, like, have you thought through that where you've actually said, I'm not allowed to have a bad day on camera because my personality is joyful and bubbly, therefore that's what I got to do. I'm just curious about how far you actually take that.
Well, I would say people do like to see a depth of emotions, and I think people do connect when you have like a bad day and you're willing to like put it out there and show your emotion and show your failure. People do, of course, connect with that. So I personally find that overall, I feel like my tone is very like inspiring and bubbly and friendly, and that's my tone. But I still like will sprinkle in, having a bad day or something in my content. I feel like that does better than usual.
Contrast,
a little bit of contrast. The other thing in terms of the framework that's really important, probably the most important thing, is aligning on what your core themes are, your messages are, and maybe you have 3 to 4 of them, and then repeating those over and over again. So you might think about like Gary Vee. He's got, you're never too old to start something, and that, 35 is not old. That's like one big message of his. And then he's got be kind. And now he's talking about selling online, and like that's his big thing, live selling, right? That's his big messaging point that's new. And he just repeats the same 3 things over and over again in all of his content. And everybody knows what he stands for, but they're not similar things. They're all totally different.
Does he do that in seasons where he's only going to talk about this one thing for a couple of years, then he switches it? Because I've noticed people who sort of are kind of jack of all trades never really break out. It's usually people who, to be quite honest with you, it's people who come out and they are against something. That to me, it's like the number one thing that I see amongst people who are breaking out, who achieve fame or notoriety really, really quickly. They're against something. And that's number one. And then they contrast it with being for something that is the opposite of what they are against, which is, by the way, that's just how you write a screenplay.
Yeah.
Like, that's exactly it. You start with who's the villain, what's the problem. Now let's actually throw a hero into this mix. And that's what they're doing. If you think about Mandani or something, who nobody knew of a year ago, and now he's the mayor of New York. He is against capitalism, greed, cronyism, these sorts of things. He is for warmth and acceptance and collectivism, and basically he's for communism. They're just calling it a different name. And that catapulted him only because he actually was running for mayor. So it made people grapple with him.
Yeah.
But if you actually look at that campaign, and any campaign, whoever wins, Republican or Democrat, that's the formula. And it almost doesn't matter if you can predict the winner not based on the party or even the platform or even the values, none of that. You can predict it based on the binary contrast between what they are for and what they are against, and whether or not they stick with that message and don't get off script.
Yeah. I also think there's just some topics that are so hot, and aligning to those topics, you'll just get traction no matter what.
Like affordability or for him? Or
like, for example, all the stuff going on in politics with Israel and Palestine. It's such a hot topic.
Now, would you go there? I always wonder, because I have opinions about that stuff, but I'm always like, do we turn on the camera and say, here's...
I did go there at a certain point, but at a certain point, I realized I created this brand, and they don't want to hear politics from me. I've already created, we were just talking about this offline. I created a brand about business, and my audience wants business content from me.
Right.
And when I go politics, I isolate my audience. I might bring in a new audience, but then they're confused about the business.
Well, you got to switch audiences, if you're going to do that.
It's kind of like you can talk about different topics, but they should be generally relevant to all your audience. So my audience, I might get away with fashion content and business, because a lot of women still like fashion and business. But when it comes to politics, that might just be muddying it up too much. But I launched a different page like for charity, and that blew up right away. And I realized, I was like, oh my God, like I talk about these business topics, and I work so hard, and I interview celebrities, but then my reel that has no celebrity in it, that's just about a hot topic, is blowing up. That took way less effort and way less time and way less money. And it's just because people want to talk and share, and there's something to talk about and discuss and debate. And really, that's what the algorithms want. They want discussion and long comment threads and sharing. And sometimes it's more about the topic and choosing the right topic, so it's not just an uphill battle when you're trying to build a brand.
What's the biggest mistake you think you've made recently on messaging? Was it jumping into political perspective?
That was probably a big mistake.
You think so, looking back?
I think I had to do it for myself and to put my perspective out there. And I felt like I had a responsibility. I am 100% Palestinian, right? So I felt like I had a responsibility to talk about things. But at the same time, I felt like it did isolate certain people in my audience, and maybe I should have just tried to do it more strategically, where I wasn't using necessarily my pages and starting a new page for it or something off the bat, rather than that being like 2 years into it. I started.
How'd you feel though when people started pushing back? I mean, that particular issue, there's a lot of issues that truth is just gone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I hear people talk, and I'm just like, you have no clue what's actually happening on the ground. And it's so far removed from usually whatever the left is saying, whatever the right is saying.
Mm-hmm.
It has nothing to do with either of them.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating to me. How does that make you feel when you just feel like, wow, we are in a whirlwind of narratives, false narratives? And I think I know the truth. Now we may not, I mean, who knows? We may be just as delusional as everybody else, but that's got to be pretty tough. When I feel that way about politics. I really do.
Yeah.
I feel like we are absolutely not talking about the things that we need to talk about, because there's no incentive to actually talk about them. Let's get into more shallow topics, why don't we?
Sure.
I'm curious about, like, now you've got this brand, you're helping young people become profitable.
Mm-hmm.
You're helping them grow their brand. And you've leveraged that, and you also have this curious hobby about fashion, and you're kind of known as somebody who dresses well. And just give us a little story about you leveraging your platform to have some fun with your side hobby. And I mean, I think that's interesting to folks.
Yeah.
If I could get sponsored by Double RL, I probably would take that sponsorship. They would never do that in a million years, but I'd take it.
Yeah.
How have you done that? What have you done there?
Well, so I have a podcast network, and my job is to get myself and like 40 other podcasters sponsorships.
Okay.
And so all day, my day job is just negotiating brand deals and getting sponsorships for me and my whole podcast network. And earlier this year, I got sponsored by Revolve. Now, Revolve, if you're a woman, is
that makeup or hair?
It's
or
fashion.
It's
and
fashion.
It's
they make clothes.
They make clothes, and it's the nicest clothes. And
is it one brand or is it a bunch of brands?
It's 1,000 brands.
Oh, okay.
It's all the big brands that are kind of they're high level or really luxury type fashion brands. It's not totally unaffordable or anything, but it's not cheap, right? So it's a pretty expensive brand. I spend all my money at Revolve historically. And my team would always make jokes oh, you just need to get a Revolve sponsorship. We'll save so much money. And then finally they sponsored me, and they sponsored me for 3 months.
Did you call them, or what happened?
It just happened. Every time they would sponsor another show, and my team would always be like, Hala buys all her clothes from Revolve, So finally I got a sponsorship, and it was a 3-month sponsorship. Now,
what does that mean? They paid you, or they sent you clothes?
So they actually sponsored me for 3 months of all of my content. So literally every single download across my audio, my LinkedIn Live, my YouTube, they sponsored every single download for 3 months.
What are you obligated? Are you obligated to say this is sponsored by Revolve? Got it.
I do a 60-second commercial on all my episodes, and they sponsored all my episodes for 3 months, basically.
Okay.
But, I really wanted to keep the sponsorship. So I'm like, let's do email newsletters. Let's do reels.
You're giving them ideas on ways that you can promote
I'm using
the brand.
my social team and all my other channels because I'm like, I definitely want a renewal. Now, for context for everyone listening, I've got, a Shopify brand deal for the last 4 years, an Indeed brand deal, LinkedIn brand deal, Quo. I'm sponsored by so many business brands, and I don't try that hard for those brands. I just do the commercial. And then I get renewals, and, I'm I got voted top 4 performing podcaster out of all podcasts started before 2020. So it's my podcast performs really well, and I don't have to try. But then this Revolve sponsorship, they said I was getting an annual sponsorship, but then I didn't end up getting it. My team didn't do posts for 3 weeks, and performance kind of dropped, and I didn't get the annual sponsorship.
They were looking at just recent numbers.
They were looking at recent numbers, but it's at the end of the day, I'm sold out. It's just not with Revolve. So I can still buy the clothes, but it doesn't really make a difference, but I just wanted them.
Yeah, they'll come back. That's pretty fun. Okay, talk to me about central messaging. One of the things that we tell folks who are trying to build a personal brand is, and I come back to this just because my past is in screenwriting and storytelling. And you've got to figure out what the conflict is, where the negative energy is, because that's actually what the story is about. Mm-hmm. It's about the negative energy, not the positive energy. And the reason is the negative energy makes the positive energy that much more positive. So it's just really, really important. And so I'm pretty much big against what are you against? What bothers you? Is it narcissism in relationships? Is it, but if you look at, Dr. Becky, do you know who Dr. Becky is? Okay, you will someday. If you get married and have kids, she will be all over your Instagram feed.
Okay.
Because she's built a massive, massive brand giving parenting advice. But what she's against, this is fascinating because you would never think of her as being against anything. But what she's against is you thinking that there is somebody inside your child who is bad. Mm. So her big thing is everything inside your child is good, right? You just have to train it and bring it out of them. And that's a massive paradigm shift. And it's actually not remotely true because we all have good and bad. But at the same time, it's her way of saying, let me change the paradigm shift. I'm against you thinking that there's something inside your child that is bad. They're actually good. And I believe her book is called Good Inside. I mean, she's just taken it that far.
Yeah.
How important is that for you? For instance, for my brand, and this is a crazy thing to be against, but I'm against muddled and cluttered messaging. I am 100%, if you confuse me, I'm not going to do business with you. If you're a politician and you're confusing, you're going to lose the race. If you're a brand and you're confusing people about your offer, you're going to go bankrupt.
Yep.
So it's all about clarity, and I'm against confusion. How have you applied that sort of thing to your thinking? Or are you just
No, it's a really good thought. It reminds me of something that Kelly Roach talked to me about in the past called conviction-based marketing. So having a conviction about, how something should be, how it shouldn't be, to your point. I do teach some of that, but the way that you just framed it, I just feel is brilliant. I feel you should not only think about your key messages that you say over and over again, but what are the things that you're just against? What are your convictions in the in the market?
There needs to be a villain.
Yeah.
That's what makes the villain just makes the hero that much better. Okay, what is your core message? If you could say in one sentence, this is what Halataha is about. This is what I stand for. What would that be?
I would say that I stand for young professionals believing that life is limitless. And if they put hard work towards a goal, they will achieve it and be successful.
Okay. I want to keep talking about messaging, but now we just have to talk about that for a minute.
Sure.
That is swimming upstream right now. Do you think? Or are you just surrounding yourself with upbeat, positive people who feel incredibly ambitious?
I mean, I think there are a lot of upbeat, positive Gen Z and millennials who feel really ambitious, who are crushing it right now, especially in the online world. You know, I think a lot of the people that I speak to are creators, they're creator entrepreneurs, they're small business owners, and they're people who are starting side hustles, and those people tend to be pretty positive and ambitious.
This passion that you have, do you ever meet somebody who just says, life is against me? The cards are stacked against me. My generation will never buy a house. My generation leaves college in more debt than anybody else. We're the first generation that will make less money than our parents. Social Security is a joke. We'll never get it. And those are the rants today. Mm-hmm. What do you say to those folks? I'm testing your
I might be like in a little bit of a bubble because I feel like
You're not in a bubble.
I feel like a lot of because I teach students and people take my courses, and they seem really excited about life. Like, I don't get too many people coming to me and saying, hey, like, you know, I don't see opportunity. I think people see other creator entrepreneurs. I think my job is to inspire.
Yeah.
Like, one of the things we didn't talk about when it comes to branding, you always want to think about what your relationship is with your audience. And my relationship is I'm a mentor and I'm an inspiring mentor to them. So I can't be anything. That's what I am naturally. And if somebody comes to me like that, my job is to be that inspiring mentor and try to tell them like, well, no, like lots of people have started from zero, and you know, you don't have to be perfect, but you just need to try to work hard and learn skills that will help advance you to the next level. So I feel like my job would be to inspire them and kind of turn them around.
Okay, so that's the lane, that sort of inspirational lane that you want to live in. I think a lot of people listening, I remember my mom, I grew up with a single mom who posted a plaque on my wall when I was like 5 years old, and it had my name, and then under my name, it had the meaning of my name. And the meaning of my name was fearless leader.
Oh, cool.
And which is not remotely the meaning of it. I don't know where my mother got this plaque, but she got it somewhere, and it said this, and she literally hung it on my wall. And I remember for years just looking at that thing going, how am I going to be that? Like, you know, but as time went on, there's this confirmation bias, and you find opportunities to lead, and you're like, I guess that's supposed to be me. And then sooner or later, you just become a fearless leader. But I'm wondering about your journey. You literally just said, I see it as my role to inspire people, to mentor, and to lead. Where in the world did that come from? Because you have to know that's not actually natural for most people. Most people would say, well, who am I to lead? Who am I to inspire? Why am I the person who is qualified to do this? When did you own that identity? Which is, by the way, very helpful for the world.
Yeah, I would say that I've always had that kind of an identity. I've always been a leader.
You never doubted it?
Just naturally, people have things that they... I mentioned that I'm interviewing Patrick Lencioni right after this. He has something called the 6 Working Geniuses. And it's something that I've been doing and studying for like 2 years. My whole company does it. And everybody has 6 types of working geniuses. 2 of them are your strengths, your natural gifts that you're born with. 2 of them are competencies. You can do them, but they drain you over time. 2 of them are frustrations, like you hate doing them. My 2 working geniuses that I've had since I was a little girl are galvanizing and invention. So I love to invent things, and I love to motivate people to help me do it. And those are the 2 things that bring me joy, bring me energy. I could do them forever and never get tired. And so everything that I can look back on in my life that I've started, whether that was, you know, being president of my sorority or captain of my cheerleading team, or, you know, starting this intern group that turned into my company that was 30 interns that worked for free for me for 2 years, right? All those things are because I invent and I galvanize. And those are the things that bring me joy. And so... back to your question in terms of like, where did that come from? I think also my parents, you know, my father always told me that I would be a leader and that, you know, everybody would be working for me one day and watch, you're going to be a CEO.
You think he saw that in you, or think he was planning it, or both?
Probably a little bit of both. I was bossy when I was younger. I used to boss everybody around. I'm like the youngest of 4 and would boss all my siblings around and boss all my cousins around. The youngest
of 4 and you were bossing them around.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be indicative of that's how you're wired, I think. 'Cause that's not actually normal. I think that's I think that's a characteristic that, I'll just say to people listening who feel that way, but who are sheepish about it, that having that identity and not living into it or being sheepish about it is actually not very helpful. I mean, I just think there are people who are, gosh, I don't even know the word, but they're destined to lead, but they're not owning that destiny. And if you're not owning that destiny, it's very harmful to the world. I mean, you need to, I give you permission to actually say, no, you are the leader, and you need to live into that. That's coming from personal, my personal journey there, because it's taken me forever.
To just own it?
Yeah, to own it. I've just seen it as not helpful. When the whole room is seeing you as the leader and saying, hey, where do we go? And you say, well, who am I to be the leader? That's not helpful.
Yeah.
You need to say, no, okay, I'm the leader, therefore, where are we going? Let's go somewhere that benefits all of us, and makes the world a better place. And it's just taken me a long time to do that. How do you stay in your lane? We talked a little bit about sort of the fashion hobby kind of thing, and we talked earlier about going into politics. How much more are you staying in your lane now? How have you realized, has there been a realization that staying in my lane helps me gain traction, and that long focus actually compounds over time?
Yeah, I think it does in many different ways. Number one is the algorithm, right? We're living in an interest-based algorithm world where you basically need to train the algorithm on the topics that you speak about. So you need to say the same keywords over and over again, whether that's on LinkedIn. For example, on LinkedIn, you need the same keywords in your post as the same keywords in your profile, and everything needs to sort of match so that the algorithm, which is just a robot, knows where to send your content to. Other people.
So it's always looking. I mean, the algorithm is always looking for where are you going to be useful, and if your message is all over the place, it can't figure out where to plug you in.
Yeah, everybody has two clouds, right? So the user has a cloud of all the stuff that they like to read and spend time on, and things that they search, and they have their keyword cloud. And you, as a content originator, somebody who posts content, you've got your cloud as well as the things that you like to view and read, and also the stuff that you post about. And the algorithm needs to match that. So you need to be consistent in the things that you talk about. Now, that doesn't mean you only need to talk about one thing, but you need to talk about categories of things and not just like be all over the place. So you might have like 2 or 3 main things that you talk about.
Yeah.
And you just kind of have those keyword clouds, and you just make sure that you're using the same words over and over again, because at the end of the day, it's just algorithms feeding your content to other users. So that's one piece of it.
Have you, even for this interview, are there talking points that you've intentionally brought up in this, just so you can?
Oh yeah, I mean, my network.
You got to share it.
I got to talk about sponsorships in my network, and
yeah,
that's a very important piece. I think my big thing that I'm gonna be writing a book this year.
Is this your first?
Yeah, it's gonna be my first book, and it's on creator entrepreneurship. So I feel like out of everything, I like to talk about things that bring me energy. And the most thing that brings me energy right now that fits into this business world category niche that I'm in is creator entrepreneurship.
What is creator entrepreneurship? I've heard both terms, but never together. What does that mean?
So basically, it's me. It's somebody who has built a company and a brand where I am the product. So part of my creator entrepreneurship was starting my podcast, right? Getting sponsorships for my podcast, creating courses off the things that I know really well, like LinkedIn and podcasting, creating an agency that essentially just leveraged the team that I created for myself, and then I scaled it to other clients, creating a podcast network, which is pretty much the pinnacle of creator entrepreneurship. Not only do I represent myself, but now I represent other creators in a network. Where I get them grow their shows and monetize their shows. So creator entrepreneurship is this idea of being an entrepreneur based off your personal brand.
Yeah. Let's talk about methodology. I mean, we've got to have core ideas, a vision, values, what we're for, perhaps what we're against. We've got to have repeatable talking points. But then how do you actually cut this up and put it on the internet? You have a podcast. Do you do clip downs of the podcast to get little shorts?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay. And how does that work? Do you have a team that's looking at every episode and cutting it down?
Yeah, we're doing a lot of different things nowadays. So I have a producer who will, first of all, my team does listening parties. So my team will do a listening party, and it will be like all my social team, including the account manager, the copywriters. They'll be tuning in, and they'll be picking the clips that they feel were the most enjoyable for them.
How'd you find these people to do that? Are they former interns?
A lot. Some of them are former interns. Some of them are just people that work for the company. I have 60 people all over the world that work at Yap Media now. So
that's insane.
Yeah. No, we don't do too much interns anymore. I feel like now that I'm so busy, I was the one galvanizing all the interns, so it's hard to kind of find somebody to do that for me.
You walked into the building today, you had a crew following you and filming the whole thing.
Yeah.
I've noticed that a lot. Dan Martell was here, Sean Cannell was here. They kind of have the same sort of thing. Talk to me about what that looks like logistically. I mean, who are those people? What are they doing with that footage?
Yeah, so there's one strategy, like we were just mentioning, where basically we take the long form content from the podcast, we're cutting up clips. Now I'm also trying to do more reels that have nothing to do with my guests, right? So we're taking a lot of behind the scenes footage, BTS footage, that we can just create easy reels from. So the team is just following me around. I'm not even saying anything. They're just like, taking clips of this interview, me walking into the building, and we can just use that for trending reels and create reels out of them. The other thing I'm doing is now I'm taking content from my podcasts. Like I interviewed Kevin O'Leary in person a month ago or something. So we're taking those transcripts. I came up with a formula that I pop into ChatGPT that gives me different hooks, an identity line, like I'm Hala Taha, I'm the host of a top 100 podcast, Young and Profiting. And then what I learned from the episode, like some key thought from the episode. And then, comment Kevin if you want to learn more.
So does it go take that transcript and then you go find that video clip that corresponds with
that?
So
I upload the audio, the transcript of the interview, and I say, give me the 4 best ideas that came out of this interview. Cool. Now create me 4 reels in this format, which is a standard format that I've created where there's a hook, an identity line, a lesson,
what
then the
piece
CTA.
of software are you using to?
ChatGPT.
ChatGPT will actually take the video and clip it down?
We use Descript to get the transcript. So just a written transcript is what I upload because that's the easiest for ChatGPT to.
But how do you get the video from the transcript? How do you?
This is a script that I'm saying myself that has nothing to do with the long form video. So I'm repurposing that content.
Okay, got it.
And I'm saying Kevin O'Leary taught me this. And here's the 3 steps to do X, Y, Z.
That's brilliant.
And then I'm just promoting it. So it's the reason why I started doing this is because I started to feel like my podcast content didn't even include me. Because I'm doing so much of the listening on my podcast that we're posting up all these reels and it's becoming a page of all these other people and I'm not featured enough. So
let me figure this out in real time. I take this episode, the transcript, put it in a ChatGPT, say, give me 4 topics that my audience would think are very interesting.
Yeah.
Give me the hooks, write it out as a sort of teleprompter script for me, and then I would actually look at the camera and say, recently I interviewed Hala Taha. She came by the Nashville office. One of the things she said that was blah, blah, blah. That's what you're doing?
Yeah. And I feel like
That's brilliant.
I love it. I feel like it's working really well. All these reels are doing really well. And one of the reasons why I like it is it just puts me at the forefront. And I think it's a great lesson for everybody tuning in because I get to talk about things that I'm not necessarily an expert in, but I get to say, hey, this expert Dan Henry just taught me this.
Right.
And here's what I learned from him. Here's what I took away. And it's not a summary of the episode. It's actually just one point. Like Brock Johnson taught me that negative hooks are better than positive hooks. Here's why.
Right.
And just talking about it. And then I can still collab with Brock on the reel. I can still collab with the person.
So it's you. Do you show some B-roll of you talking to him?
We might pop up some animation or something, but the whole point is that it's my face so that people just get used to me because so much of my content has been featuring other people and I'm kind of tired of it and I kind of just want to make sure that, my face is out there. So we've done that.
I love that you just say that. That's just awesome. I think that's really, really great because you're clearly very, very good for the world.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. I admire your willingness to be visible and share your path on how to be
Yeah,
visible.
I feel like people can learn
You're clearly
from it.
not a narcissist. Let me just say that.
Thank you.
You're just good for the world, and you know it and you own it. And I just wish more people were like that, including
you.
myself. Any other like little strategies that people could use? You're clipping down everything, and then you're repurposing the content because there was definitely stuff interesting that you talked about, and you're looking at the camera and you're turning that into the same content but delivered in a different way, right? And put out there. How many times are you posting a day on Instagram?
This year, we're doing 2 posts a day.
On Instagram?
On Instagram. And LinkedIn is once a day.
And LinkedIn is video as well, right?
But videos still don't do as well on LinkedIn. So like the most thing that works well on LinkedIn is still a photograph. But we are doing video on LinkedIn just because it's good for trust mid-funnel.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Final series of questions. Where is this all going?
Well, I'm writing a book this year, so I feel like that's going to be really big for me. I'm launching a podcast course on growth and monetization. So I'm going to teach existing podcasters how to really level up.
What's a podcast? Oh, sorry. It's a course on podcast. Right.
On growth and monetization.
Gotcha.
Because I feel like I've got a lot to teach on that specifically. And yeah, those are the 2 big goals this year. Is just like get this course off the ground, write this book, and continue to grow my network and recruit big podcasters that I can represent.
This is expensive. What you're talking about is expensive. 60 people, all sorts of equipment, flying everybody around, hotel rooms. I would imagine your monthly labor cost is high and everything else.
Yeah.
Can you share with us? Are you willing to share with us how some of this is monetized? You mentioned sponsors, but how else? I mean, you've got advertising on YouTube that's paying you a little bit, but not a lot. Is there money to be made on LinkedIn?
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you all my different revenue streams.
Please.
So first of all, we have our agency business. So we're the #1 LinkedIn marketing agency. So we've got a lot of LinkedIn clients, Instagram clients, some podcast clients. However, that's actually not a business I'm extremely focused on. So we've got a lot of clients that have been with us for 4 or 5 years. I'm not really actively getting new clients. They're big retainers.
Those are LinkedIn clients?
LinkedIn, Instagram, podcast production. So these clients, they're bigger retainers. They're paying us anywhere from like $10,000 to $25,000 a month.
Got it.
So they're like agency services.
And you are producing, putting out their podcasts, you are posting for them on LinkedIn.
Yeah, it's a totally white glove service. So it's our team.
You're doing it all.
And it's the same team that I basically trained up. That was my team that now like leads other accounts.
Got it. Okay.
So that was like the first business that I started. We've got courses, my LinkedIn mastermind course, and now this new podcast course, my Yap Academy arm of the business. I'm really bullish on courses, and I'm going to do a lot more courses. I really enjoy them.
You don't think the market is diluted?
No, I think people love them so much. I get a lot of joy from them. I think it helps grow your email list. I think it grows super fans. It spreads your brand by word of mouth. So I love courses, not really for the money, but for the interaction with the students and I feel I was my most popular ever when I first launched my LinkedIn course. Like I can just, it just gives you something to talk about. And then also I just feel like when you have a lot of students, they're just your mouthpieces that just tell everybody about you.
Yeah.
So I like that for that reason. Then I have my podcast. So my podcast alone made $1.5 million in sponsorships last year.
That's amazing.
So just my show.
Yeah.
And
then you're making a cut on everybody else's show as well, right?
Yes.
And how many other podcasters do you have in your network?
I have like 42 other podcasts, and we get 30% of all their sponsorships, and we get them all their sponsorships.
And you're getting those sponsorships.
And we're getting them all those sponsorships. Yeah.
Do you have a team that's cold calling people and saying, "Hey, we love your brand. We think you'd be a fit with this"?
Actually, the biggest thing that I did that was invest a lot in promoting Yap Media Network with the right people. So when I first started the network, I invested heavily and used my own sponsorship money to sponsor all these different conferences that all the podcast agencies went to. So we would have like the big display and get to know everyone. And for like 2 years, I sponsored everything. And so everything is inbound all day. We just get RFPs from all these agencies and brands. We're not doing much outbound at all, other than when we onboard a new podcaster, we're like, give us your brand wish list, and then we'll do direct campaigns for brands we don't work with. But we pretty much work with every brand at this point that's sponsoring podcasts, and it's all inbound.
Okay.
Yeah. So my big thing is like recruiting new podcasts because the sales piece is just automatic at this point. Yeah.
Keynote speeches as well? You get paid to do keynotes?
I do, yeah. So I spoke at Funnel Hacking Live, which was my biggest thing that I've ever done. It was in front of 7,000 people.
Wow.
I did that. Russell Brunson is my client, so he put me on that stage.
What are you doing for Russell?
He's in my podcast network.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, that sounds good. That's how you afford everything.
Yeah.
You've been very, very helpful to our audience today.
Thank
you for coming by.
Thank you, Don.
Thanks for listening to the StoryBrand podcast. No matter where you are in your marketing and messaging journey, get the tools, the training, and the support you need to start clarifying that message at StoryBrand.com. And don't forget to follow and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and then leave a comment letting us know what resonated with you and what we can unpack to help your business grow in a future episode. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next week.